Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. Your destiny is too important to let the wrong people derail it. Life is a journey, and every person you meet is either helping you rise or pulling you down. But here's the truth: some individuals aren't just obstacles, they're outright enemies of your purpose. Discernment is essential in every area of life, but especially when it comes to relationships. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay, and not everyone who stays is meant to help you fulfill your purpose. Some people are placed in your path as blessings, while others come as lessons. But there is a third category. We often overlook those who come as distractions and deterrents. These individuals may appear to be allies at first glance, but over time, their true intentions reveal that they are anything but supportive. The ability to discern these hidden motives is not just a skill, it's a necessity. Discernment requires you to look beyond the surface. It's not enough to judge people by what they say or how they act in public. You have to examine the fruit of their presence in your life. A person with harmful intentions may initially disguise themselves with kind words and helpful deeds. They might even appear to align with your goals and values, but over time, their actions begin to tell a different story. They may subtly undermine your confidence, question your decisions, or sow seeds of doubt about your abilities. These aren't the behaviors of a true supporter, they are red flags that demand your attention. One of the challenges of discernment is overcoming the human tendency to see what we want to see. Sometimes we're so eager for companionship, validation, or assistance that we ignore warning signs. We rationalize behavior that doesn't sit well with our spirit, convincing ourselves that the person means well or that we're being overly critical. But ignoring your intuition can have devastating consequences. Discernment often speaks in whispers, nudging you to look closer, ask questions, or set boundaries. If you don't listen to that still small voice, you risk allowing someone into your inner circle who is not there to help you but to harm you. Discernment also involves understanding that some people may not be inherently malicious but are still not aligned with your purpose. These individuals may unintentionally drain your energy, distract you from your goals, or lead you down paths that are not meant for you. Their intentions might not be evil, but their impact on your life is still detrimental. This is why discernment is not about judging or condemning others. It's about making wise choices for your own well-being and destiny. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and focus are limited resources and being selective about where and with whom you invest them. It's important to remember that discernment is a spiritual gift that grows stronger the more you use it. The more you align yourself with your purpose and seek divine guidance, the easier it becomes to identify who truly belongs in your life and who doesn't. You'll begin to notice patterns, behaviors, and energy shifts that reveal whether someone is adding to your life or subtracting from it. This clarity doesn't just protect you from harm, it also frees you to pour your energy into relationships that uplift, encourage, and align with the vision God has placed in your heart. Energy drainers are some of the most dangerous people you can allow into your life because their impact is often subtle yet devastating. They don't attack you outright. Instead, their presence gradually depletes your strength, focus, and enthusiasm. These individuals may not even realize the harm they are causing, but the effect they have on your spirit, mind, and emotions is unmistakable. You can usually identify an energy drainer by the way you feel after interacting with them. Do you feel lighter, encouraged, and inspired, or do you feel heavy, discouraged, and unsettled? If it's the latter, then you're likely dealing with someone whose energy pulls you away from your purpose. These people come in different forms. Some are constantly negative, finding something wrong in every situation. They'll point out flaws in your plans, complain about their own circumstances, and never seem to recognize the blessings in life. Negativity is contagious. And when you allow such individuals to linger in your space, their outlook starts to seep into your own mindset. What began as a small annoyance can grow into a barrier that blocks your vision and drains your hope. Their words and attitudes are like small drops of poison that slowly taint your well of positivity. Others might be excessively needy, always requiring your time, attention, and emotional support, but giving little to nothing in return. These relationships are one-sided, leaving you feeling overburdened. While helping and serving others is a noble thing, it becomes problematic when someone takes advantage of your kindness. An energy drainer will often frame their dependency as a need for love or understanding, but in reality, they are siphoning off your strength without contributing to your well-being. They never seem to find solutions to their problems and resist growth, leaving you stuck in a cycle of giving without reciprocation. Energy drainers may also disguise themselves as well-meaning individuals who mask their negativity as concern. They'll question your decisions under the pretense of offering advice, but their words plant seeds of doubt instead of clarity. They'll tell you they're just trying to be realistic when, in truth, they're projecting their own fears and insecurities onto you. These subtle attacks on your confidence can erode your motivation and make you question your abilities. Over time, their influence can dim your vision and cause you to second-guess even the boldest promises God has placed in your heart. Sometimes, energy drainers are people you care deeply about, friends, family, or colleagues. This makes it even harder to recognize their effect on you because their behavior might not seem malicious. But whether intentional or not, their presence creates a spiritual and emotional imbalance. You find yourself constantly pouring out but never being replenished. The joy you once felt begins to fade, replaced by a sense of exhaustion and frustration. Tasks that once energized you now feel like a burden, and your peace feels out of reach. Energy drainers thrive on unguarded access to your life. They slip into your routines, becoming a normal part of your day until you no longer notice how much they drain you. They might interrupt your focus with unnecessary problems or demand attention during moments when you need quiet. Their presence disrupts the flow of your purpose, pulling you away from what truly matters. The longer they remain unchecked, the harder it becomes to regain the energy, clarity, and passion that their influence has taken away. Demons in your life are often disguised as saboteurs of destiny, individuals who subtly or overtly work against the very purpose you were created to fulfill. They are not always loud about their intentions sometimes. Their sabotage comes in the form of quiet discouragement or seemingly innocent distractions. These people may appear supportive on the surface, but their actions and words reveal a deeper motive to derail you. It is not always what they do openly, it is often what they fail to do, fail to encourage, fail to show genuine enthusiasm for your progress, or fail to celebrate your milestones. Their absence of support speaks volumes. These saboteurs are often individuals who cannot see beyond their limited perspective, and because they cannot envision greatness for themselves, they cannot stand to see it manifest in your life. They sow seeds of doubt, not necessarily by telling you that you will fail, but by questioning the validity of your dreams. They might say things like, "Are you sure that's practical?" or "Maybe you should think smaller." These statements may seem harmless, but over time, they chip away at your confidence and make you question the vision God placed in your heart. One of the most dangerous aspects of these saboteurs is their ability to create distractions. They pull your focus away from what truly matters by introducing chaos, unnecessary drama, or irrelevant tasks that seem urgent but have no bearing on your ultimate purpose. They may demand your time and energy for things that do not align with your calling, leaving you exhausted and unable to invest in what truly matters. You may find yourself constantly solving their problems or managing their crises while your own dreams and goals remain neglected. Saboteurs of destiny are not always malicious in intent sometimes. They are simply operating from a place of their insecurities and fears. However, their intentions do not diminish the impact of their presence in your life. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, they act as stumbling blocks, making it harder for you to stay on the path God has set for you. They may present their discouragement as wisdom, masking their lack of faith in your potential as concern for your well-being. But remember, true wisdom aligns with God's promises, not with fear or limitation. These individuals often exhibit subtle envy. They might not outright express jealousy, but their behavior gives it away. They downplay your achievements, fail to acknowledge your progress, or make passive-aggressive remarks that belittle your efforts. This envy can be contagious if you are not careful. Spending time with someone who constantly questions your worth can lead you to question it yourself. Their negativity becomes a spiritual weight, dragging you down and making it harder to maintain the confidence and faith you need to move forward. Saboteurs of destiny often want to keep you at their level because your success challenges their comfort zone. If you rise, it exposes the areas in their own lives where they have settled or given up. This exposure can make them uncomfortable, leading them to either withdraw or actively work to keep you from progressing further. They may attempt to guilt trip you for prioritizing your goals or accuse you of being selfish when you choose to focus on your calling. But recognize that these tactics are strategies to hold you back. Demons in your life create chaos and confusion, not by accident, but with intentionality. They thrive in disorder and use it as a tool to disrupt your focus and purpose. When they enter your space, peace begins to crumble and suddenly everything feels uncertain. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind and your relationships, causing you to question what you once held as firm truths. This confusion isn't always loud or obvious, often it's subtle. It creeps in through whispered criticism, passive-aggressive comments, or actions that undermine your confidence and clarity. These individuals are like storms. They blow into your life, stirring up trouble and leaving you to deal with the aftermath. You might notice that whenever they are around, situations that were once manageable become overwhelming. Disagreements arise where there was harmony, and challenges appear where there was ease. This is not a coincidence. It is a calculated attempt to shift your attention away from what truly matters. Their chaos can manifest in several ways. They might introduce gossip or sow division among your relationships, turning people against each other. They may bring unnecessary drama into situations, forcing you to focus on problems that shouldn't exist in the first place. They might even create conflict where there was none, exaggerating issues or misrepresenting facts to draw you into their web of confusion. Their goal is to destabilize you, to shake the foundation of your peace so that you lose sight of your purpose. One of the most damaging aspects of this chaos is how it clouds your judgment. When you're caught in a whirlwind of confusion, it becomes difficult to see things clearly. Decisions that should be straightforward suddenly feel complicated. Opportunities that you would normally seize with confidence now appear risky or uncertain. You begin to second-guess yourself, questioning whether you're on the right path or if you're even capable of achieving your goals. This is exactly what these individuals want. If they can keep you unsure and off balance, they can prevent you from moving forward. The confusion they create also extends to your spiritual life. They may distract you from prayer, worship, or the pursuit of your faith. They may challenge your beliefs or mock your values, leaving you feeling isolated or discouraged. Over time, this can weaken your spiritual connection, making it harder to discern God's voice amidst the noise. When your spirit is unsettled, it becomes easier for them to manipulate you, pulling you further away from your divine calling. It's important to recognize that this chaos is not random. It is orchestrated to keep you stuck, to prevent you from growing, and to block you from fulfilling your potential. These individuals often appear in your life during pivotal moments, times when you are on the verge of a breakthrough or stepping into a new season. Their presence at these times is no accident. They are there to create confusion at the exact moment you need clarity most. If you're not careful, you'll find yourself trapped in their cycle of chaos, unable to break free. Demons are masters of manipulation. They operate in subtle, calculated ways, twisting truths and emotions to serve their own agendas. Manipulation is their weapon of choice because it allows them to control without confrontation, to harm without being obvious, and to keep their true intentions hidden. These individuals are experts in planting seeds of doubt and using your insecurities as leverage. They know how to present themselves as caring, helpful, or even victimized to gain your trust, all while weaving a web of deceit around you. Their words may sound sweet, but their actions tell a different story. One of the most dangerous aspects of manipulation is how it can distort your reality. When someone consistently manipulates you, they make you question your own perceptions. You may start to wonder if you're overreacting, being too sensitive, or even imagining things. This tactic, often referred to as gaslighting, is a hallmark of manipulative behavior. It creates confusion and disorientation, making you dependent on the manipulator for clarity. The more they make you doubt yourself, the more power they gain over your thoughts and decisions. Manipulators often use guilt as a tool to keep you bound. They'll remind you of how much they've done for you, exaggerate their sacrifices, or twist situations to make you feel as though you owe them something. They exploit your sense of responsibility and compassion, knowing you don't want to hurt them or appear ungrateful. Over time, this guilt becomes a leash, keeping you tethered to a relationship that drains you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Another tactic they use is playing on your fears. They know what makes you anxious or uncertain, and they use those vulnerabilities to control you. If you're afraid of losing a relationship, they'll make you feel that leaving them would be your loss. If you fear conflict, they'll use aggression or passive aggressiveness to make you avoid addressing issues. They understand that fear can paralyze you, making you less likely to take the steps needed to protect yourself. Manipulators also distort facts to suit their narrative. They'll twist your words, exaggerate situations, or selectively present information to make themselves look like the victim or the hero. This constant distortion of truth creates a sense of chaos, making it hard for you to trust your instincts or rely on your memory of events. They thrive in this confusion, knowing that as long as you're unsure of the truth, they can continue to control the narrative. Furthermore, manipulators often prey on your desire for peace and harmony. They know you dislike confrontation, so they escalate situations until you're forced to back down to keep the peace. They make you feel responsible for restoring harmony, even when they're the ones who disrupted it in the first place. This tactic shifts the focus away from their behavior and onto your reaction, making you feel as though you're the problem. Their manipulation is relentless, and it often comes cloaked in kindness. They'll apologize when caught, but follow it with excuses or deflections, making it seem as though you misunderstood or overreacted. They create cycles of hurt and reconciliation, where moments of apparent kindness and affection keep you invested in the relationship despite the pain they cause. The cycle is intentional, designed to keep you hooked and hopeful, while they continue to exert control. Demons in your life often reveal themselves through their inability or outright refusal to take accountability for their actions. These individuals have a pattern of avoiding responsibility, shifting blame, and deflecting any opportunity for self-reflection or growth. When they hurt you, they never offer a sincere apology. Instead, they justify their behavior, pointing fingers at circumstances, other people, or even at you. Their lack of accountability becomes a toxic cycle that not only stunts their own growth, but also entangles you in a web of frustration and pain. They often operate through excuses. Every failure is someone else's fault, every mistake is explained away. You may hear them say things like, if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have reacted this way, or I'm only this way because of what I've been through. While it's true that everyone has a past, a mature and accountable person recognizes their role in their present and chooses to grow from their experiences. Demons in your life, however, use their past as a shield to avoid taking responsibility. This deflection leaves you carrying the emotional weight of their mistakes while they move on unscathed, repeating the same behaviors. One of the most subtle but damaging aspects of their lack of accountability is their ability to manipulate your perception of reality. They will rewrite situations to suit their narrative, twisting facts until you begin to doubt your own memory or feelings. When you confront them about their behavior, they often turn the conversation around, making you feel guilty for bringing it up or accusing you of overreacting. This tactic, commonly known as gaslighting, is a powerful tool they use to avoid facing the truth. Over time, this erodes your confidence and creates an environment where their harmful actions go unchecked. Another hallmark of their lack of accountability is their resistance to constructive criticism. These individuals cannot handle being corrected or called out, no matter how gently it's done. They perceive any attempt to hold them accountable as a personal attack, and their response is usually defensive or aggressive. They might accuse you of being judgmental, unsupportive, or even controlling. This reaction makes it difficult to have honest conversations with them, as every effort to address issues is met with resistance or hostility. Their unwillingness to take accountability also spills over into their relationships with others. Pay attention to how they speak about people in their lives. They often recount conflicts or challenges in a way that paints them as the perpetual victim, while everyone else is the villain. This pattern is a red flag because it shows a refusal to recognize their own flaws or contributions to the problem. Their relationships are often marked by unresolved conflicts, broken trust, and a trail of people who eventually distance themselves due to the toxic dynamic. What's most dangerous about such individuals is the way their behavior traps you in a cycle of enabling. Out of love, hope, or even guilt, you may find yourself constantly giving them second chances, excusing their actions, or trying to fix what they refuse to acknowledge. This not only drains your energy, but also reinforces their belief that they are exempt from the consequences of their actions. When you encounter someone who lacks accountability, it's a clear sign of danger in your life. These individuals are masters of excuses, always finding a way to deflect responsibility for their actions. They may hurt you deeply and then turn the tables, making it seem as though you were at fault for their behavior. Instead of acknowledging their mistakes, they weave a web of justifications to avoid facing the consequences. This pattern not only damages relationships, but also creates an atmosphere of confusion and emotional instability. You'll notice that these individuals rarely, if ever, say the words, "I'm sorry" or "I was wrong" when confronted with their behavior. They either deny it outright, shift the blame, or offer shallow apologies that carry no weight. They might say something like, "I didn't mean it that way," or "You're too sensitive," effectively invalidating your feelings while excusing their actions. This constant evasion of accountability leaves you feeling unheard, unseen, and often questioning your own perspective. Lack of accountability is not just a relational issue, it's a spiritual one. It reflects a heart that is unwilling to grow, learn, or toward change. The Bible reminds us that humility is key to growth. Acknowledging our mistakes is the first step toward transformation. But people who refuse to take responsibility for their wrongs are essentially choosing pride over progress. Their pride blinds them to their faults. And in their refusal to see the damage they cause, they create cycles of hurt that never heal. Such individuals often operate with a sense of entitlement, expecting forgiveness without showing genuine remorse or effort to make amends. They will repeat the same harmful patterns because they've never faced the consequences of their actions. And because they never acknowledge their role in the problem, they continue to perpetuate harm, leaving a trail of broken trust and emotional scars in their wake. What's even more dangerous is how these individuals manipulate the dynamics of relationships. By never taking responsibility, they force you to carry the emotional weight of the conflict. You end up overthinking, over-apologizing, or overcompensating to maintain peace while they walk away unbothered. Over time, this imbalance erodes your confidence and drains your emotional energy. It's a subtle form of control, one that keeps you trapped in a cycle of seeking validation from someone who will never provide it. Lack of accountability also stifles the growth of any relationship. Healthy connections thrive on trust, communication, and mutual respect. When one person consistently refuses to own their part, it creates a gap that no amount of effort on your end can bridge. You cannot build with someone who refuses to acknowledge the cracks in the foundation. Their refusal to take responsibility doesn't just halt their personal growth, it holds you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Perhaps most troubling is how this lack of accountability can distort your own sense of reality. Over time, you may start to question whether your concerns are valid or whether you're overreacting. This emotional gaslighting can lead to self-doubt and confusion, making it even harder to recognize the need to set boundaries. Fear is one of the most powerful tools the enemy uses to keep you from fulfilling your divine purpose. It doesn't come with loud warnings or dramatic gestures. It often creeps in quietly through the words and actions of those around you. These individuals, consciously or unconsciously, serve as fear promoters in your life. They highlight your weaknesses, amplify your insecurities, and sow seeds of doubt in your heart. The challenge with fear is that it disguises itself as concern or practicality. A fear promoter might say, "I'm just looking out for you," or "Are you sure you can handle that on the surface?" It sounds like care, but underneath lies an intention to cripple your confidence, keep you from stepping into the fullness of your calling. These individuals excel at magnifying the obstacles instead of encouraging you to overcome them. When you share your dreams or plans, their first instinct is to point out what could go wrong. They don't celebrate your vision, they dissect it until you start questioning whether you even heard from God in the first place. This kind of negativity seeps into your spirit, creating a paralyzing fear of failure. Over time, you begin to shrink your dreams to fit their limited perspective, forgetting that God's plans for you are far greater than human understanding. Fear promoters also thrive on comparison. They remind you of others who have failed in similar pursuits or highlight someone else's success to make you feel inadequate. They'll say, "So many people are doing this already, what makes you think you'll succeed?" Or, "You're not as talented as so-and-so." Their words aren't just casual remarks, they're deliberate attempts to plant doubt in your mind. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing their narrative over God's promises. Another tactic they use is to question your readiness or qualifications. They might say, "Maybe you should wait until you're more experienced," or "You're not ready for something this big." While preparation is important, fear promoters disguise procrastination as wisdom. They'll have you delaying your purpose indefinitely, stuck in a cycle of getting ready but never actually stepping out in faith. This kind of influence can be especially damaging because it feels rational, but it's rooted in fear. What makes these people dangerous is their ability to attach fear to your identity. They'll remind you of past failures or mistakes, suggesting that those missteps define who you are. Remember when you tried something similar and it didn't work out? They'll say, by anchoring fear to your history, they make it difficult for you to see the possibility of a new future. Their goal isn't to help you grow, it's to keep you tethered to your past. Fear promoters also attack your trust in God. They might not say it outright, but their constant questioning and doubt erode your faith. They make you second guess whether God really called you or whether you're capable of fulfilling that call. In doing so, they create a disconnect between you and the divine guidance that is meant to lead you forward. Without even realizing it, you start relying on their opinions more than God's word. This spiritual disconnection weakens your resolve and leaves you vulnerable to further manipulation. Their words and actions create a cycle. The more you listen to them, the more your fear grows. The more your fear grows, the less likely you are to take the bold steps necessary for your breakthrough. These individuals thrive on keeping you in this loop because your stagnation feeds their control. They don't want to see you succeed because your success highlights their own inadequacies. Their fear of losing relevance in your life drives them to hold you back, even if it means sabotaging your growth. Spiritual disconnection is one of the most dangerous signs that someone in your life may be a demon. It doesn't always come with obvious warnings or blatant actions, rather, it can be subtle, almost imperceptible at first. These individuals don't necessarily demand that you abandon your faith outright. Instead, they slowly and methodically pull you away from your spiritual foundation. It could be through words that cast doubt on your beliefs, or by creating an environment where spiritual practices like prayer and worship feel unnecessary or irrelevant. This type of influence is insidious because it often appears harmless. They might question why you prioritize your faith or downplay the significance of seeking God in your decisions. At first, it may sound like casual remarks or even intellectual curiosity. But over time, these seeds of doubt begin to grow. You find yourself praying less, reading the word less, or delaying time with God because their influence begins to redirect your focus toward things that seem more urgent or appealing in the moment. What makes this so dangerous is that spiritual disconnection isn't always immediate. It happens gradually, like a slow leak in a tire. At first, it's unnoticeable, but eventually you realize you're completely deflated. The people who drive this disconnection often encourage you to prioritize material or worldly goals over your spiritual health. They might pressure you to chase after success, relationships, or pleasures that serve the flesh but starve the soul. And the worst part, it can feel rewarding at first. The distractions they introduce might bring temporary satisfaction, but they strip you of the eternal peace and fulfillment that only God provides. These individuals thrive in environments of spiritual neglect. When you stop praying, they're comfortable. When you skip church, they're supportive. When you start questioning God, they're affirming. They don't push you toward righteousness, they pull you into complacency. And complacency in your faith is fertile ground for doubt, fear, and insecurity to grow. The less connected you are to God, the more room there is for confusion, frustration, and despair to take hold. Sometimes this disconnection isn't just about what they say, it's about what they do. Their actions can serve as a constant source of temptation, inviting you into behaviors or habits that you know contradict your spiritual values. It might be a toxic relationship that erodes your sense of self-worth, or a business partnership that compromises your integrity. In these cases, their presence becomes a stumbling block, causing you to veer off the path of righteousness. They may also exhibit a spirit of mockery, subtly or overtly belittling your faith. They dismiss the power of prayer or treat your spiritual practices as superstitions. Over time, this can wear down your confidence in what you believe. You may find yourself defending your faith less often, or worse, hiding it altogether to avoid confrontation or ridicule. This silencing of your faith is another way spiritual disconnection takes root, leaving you isolated from the very source of your strength. What's truly alarming is how they can make you feel as though stepping away from your spiritual practices is a sign of progress or maturity. They frame it as growing beyond the need for faith, portraying your spiritual reliance as a weakness instead of the strength it truly is. This deception can be alluring, especially if it's accompanied by worldly success or approval. But the moment you disconnect from God, you lose the anchor that keeps you steady in life's storms. Toxic cycles are one of the most insidious signs that someone in your life may be a demon, strategically placed to hinder your growth and keep you in bondage. These patterns are subtle at first, appearing as isolated incidents, but over time they become a destructive rhythm that repeats itself. You may find yourself constantly forgiving the same offenses, revisiting the same conflicts, or enduring the same pain over and over again. These cycles create an illusion of change, but in reality, they keep you stuck in the same place, robbing you of the progress God intends for you. When someone pulls you into a toxic cycle, they are not merely hurting you in the moment, they are chaining you to a spiritual stronghold. It's like being in a revolving door where you're always moving but never truly advancing. These cycles often begin with a false sense of reconciliation or improvement. They may apologize for their actions, promise to do better, or even show temporary signs of change, but their behavior inevitably reverts, dragging you back into a place of frustration, confusion, and hurt. This repetition is not accidental, it's a tactic to keep you distracted and disconnected from your purpose. Toxic cycles are particularly dangerous because they play on your compassion and hope. You might believe that if you just try harder, love deeper, or pray more, this person will change. But the truth is, real change requires genuine repentance, not just empty words. When someone consistently pulls you into a toxic pattern, they are showing you that they are unwilling to grow, unwilling to take accountability, and unwilling to release you into the fullness of your destiny. They would rather keep you bound than let you rise, and that is a clear sign of a demonic influence at work. These cycles are not only emotionally exhausting, but spiritually draining. Every time you go through the same arguments, the same betrayals, or the same disappointments, you lose a little more energy, a little more focus, and a little more faith in the possibility of something better. That is precisely what the enemy wants to wear you down until you no longer have the strength to fight for your calling. Toxic cycles are not just about the people involved, they are about the spiritual implications. They keep you tethered to a spirit of fear, doubt, and frustration, preventing you from moving forward into the promises of God. Breaking free from toxic cycles requires more than just a decision, it requires discernment and action. You must recognize the pattern for what it is, a tool of the enemy designed to keep you from growing. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You must then take intentional steps to set boundaries, distance yourself, or even cut ties altogether. This is not easy, especially when emotions and history are involved. But remember, God is not the author of confusion or pain. He calls you to a life of peace, progress, and purpose. Toxic cycles have no place in the life of someone called to greatness. They are chains meant to be broken, not patterns meant to be endured.